Welcome to the world of science fiction. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss new stories. Enjoy the listening. Dr. Sarah Chen stared at her quantum computer display, rubbing her tired eyes as strings of anomalous data scrolled past. After 3 years of developing the most advanced predictive AI system ever created, she hadn't expected to find what looked like a mathematical impossibility buried in its core functions. "Run diagnostic sequence Delta 7 again, Aria," she commanded, speaking to the lab's AI interface. The holographic display pulsed with soft blue light as it reprocessed the calculations. "Diagnostic complete, Dr. Chen. Anomaly persists. The quantum variance cannot be explained by current mathematical models." Sarah leaned back in her chair, her small research lab at MIT feeling suddenly too confined. The evening light filtered through rain-streaked windows, casting strange shadows across walls covered in whiteboards filled with complex equations. She had designed Aria, Advanced Research Intelligence Array, to be perfect, a system capable of predicting everything from weather patterns to stock market trends with unprecedented accuracy. But for the past week, something had been wrong. The numbers didn't lie. There was a pattern in the chaos, something that shouldn't exist. It was as if someone, or something, was reaching into her quantum systems and rearranging reality itself. Aria, display temporal variance in 3-dimensional format. The air in front of her desk shimmered as a holographic model materialized, showing streams of data flowing like rivers of light. Most followed expected patterns, but there, at the quantum level, was a disturbance that defied explanation. It was beautiful in its complexity, like a fingerprint pressed into the fabric of spacetime. The phone on her desk buzzed. Another message from the Department of Defense, no doubt. They'd been increasingly interested in her work lately, especially after the anomaly had appeared. Sarah ignored it. "Dr. Chen," Aria's voice carried an unusual note of urgency. "The anomaly is growing." Sarah's attention snapped back to the display. The disturbance was indeed expanding, the quantum variance spreading like ripples in a pond. Numbers and equations flashed across her screens faster than human eyes could follow. "Containment protocols, she began, but before she could finish, the air in the center of her lab began to shimmer. The holographic displays flickered and died. Every electronic device in the room went dark. In the sudden silence, Sarah could hear her own heartbeat pounding in her ears. The shimmering air coalesced into a shape that defied human comprehension, geometric patterns that seemed to exist in more dimensions than should be possible. Then, like a photograph coming into focus, it resolved into something her mind could process. A figure stood before her, tall and elegant, with skin that seemed to shift between colors like oil on water. Its eyes were pools of swirling mathematical equations. "Fascinating," the being said, its voice resonating with harmonics that made Sarah's teeth vibrate. "Your species has managed to create something truly remarkable, Dr. Sarah Chen." Sarah stood slowly, her scientific curiosity overriding her fear. "You're what's been causing the anomaly in my systems." "Correct. We are the Thrix. We are what you might call universal administrators." The being's form shifted slightly, becoming more humanoid, though still unmistakably alien. "Your AI system caught our attention because it does something that should be impossible. It predicts chaos accurately." "That's what Aria was designed to do," Sarah replied, her mind racing with implications. "Pattern recognition in complex systems." "Yes, but you fail to understand the significance. In all our observations of the universe, spanning millions of years and countless civilizations, we have never encountered a species that could effectively model chaos. It should not be possible according to the fundamental laws of reality." The being moved closer, studying her with those impossible eyes. "Yet here you are, a primitive species on a backwater planet, casually breaking universal constants." Sarah felt a spark of indignation at the word primitive. "If we're so primitive, how did we manage it?" "That is precisely what we need to understand." The Thrix gestured, and suddenly the air was filled with holographic displays far more sophisticated than anything Sarah had ever seen. Your species possesses something unique, a fundamental connection to chaos itself. Your minds operate in ways that defy our most basic understanding of consciousness. Is that a problem? Sarah asked, noting the tension in the being's tone. It is a catastrophe, the Thrix replied. Your ability to harness chaos threatens the very stability of the universe. We have spent eons maintaining order, ensuring that all civilizations develop along predictable paths. Humanity is a variable we cannot control. Sarah's scientific excitement began to turn to concern. What exactly does that mean for us? It means, Dr. Chen, that humanity presents us with a unique problem. Your species must either be corrected or contained. The universe cannot sustain the level of uncertainty you represent. Corrected? Sarah's voice hardened. You mean changed? Against our will? For the greater good, the Thrix said, almost gently. We have done it before, to younger races who threatened universal stability. We can make humanity predictable. Sarah thought about everything that made humans unique, their creativity, their adaptability, their ability to find patterns in chaos and beauty in imperfection. And if we refuse? The being's form flickered. Refusal is not an option that has been calculated into the equation. Then you need to check your math, Sarah said, her hand moving slowly toward her computer. Because there's something else unique about humans, we don't respond well to threats. In one swift motion, she activated Arya's quantum core. The air crackled with energy as her AI system engaged with the alien presence, creating a cascade of mathematical impossibilities that even the Thrix couldn't have predicted. What are you doing? The being demanded, its form becoming less stable. Proving a point, Sarah replied, watching as her screens came back to life. You say chaos is dangerous? I say it's our greatest strength. Arya, initiate Protocol Pandora. The lab erupted into a symphony of light and energy as human chaos met alien order head-on. The Thrix's perfect equations encountered human unpredictability, creating something entirely new in the process. As alarms blared and reality itself seemed to fluctuate, Sarah Chen stood her ground. She had just started a war between order and chaos, between alien perfection and human creativity. And somehow, she knew this was only the beginning. The Thrix's form began to dissolve, but its final words hung in the air, you cannot comprehend what you have begun. Sarah watched the being vanish, then turned to survey her lab, now filled with evidence of impossible mathematics and broken universal constants. Maybe not, she whispered, but that's exactly why we'll win. As emergency lights pulsed and government vehicles began to arrive outside her lab, Sarah Chen began preparing for a battle that would determine not just humanity's fate, but the very nature of reality itself. The question wasn't whether humanity would survive, it was whether the universe was ready for what humans could truly become when pushed to their limits. The war between chaos and order had begun, and humanity's greatest weapon would be the very unpredictability that the Thrix feared. News of humanity's first contact with the Thrix spread like wildfire across the globe. Within days of Sarah Chen's encounter, strange phenomena began appearing worldwide. Perfect geometric patterns formed in crops overnight. Weather systems reorganized themselves into mathematically precise formations. The Thrix were making their presence known, and their message was clear: chaos would be replaced by order. Sarah stood before the United Nations Security Council, her presentation screen showing the increasingly disturbing data. They're not just threatening us, she explained to the room full of world leaders. They're already beginning to alter our reality. Alter it how, exactly? Asked the British representative, leaning forward. Sarah pulled up a series of images. Look at these brain scans from around the world. People are reporting increased difficulty with creative thinking, problem solving, even dreaming. The Thrix are subtly rewriting the quantum structure of our minds, making us more predictable. The room erupted in concerned murmurs. Sarah continued, but there's hope. My team at MIT has discovered something extraordinary. Arya, show them. The AI system projected a new set of data, displaying waves of chaotic energy emanating from various points around the globe. These are what we're calling creativity hotspots, areas where human innovative thinking is actually disrupting the Crix's attempts at control. Dr. Chen, the Chinese representative interrupted, are you suggesting that human creativity itself is a weapon? Not just a weapon, Sarah replied, allowing herself a small smile. It might be our salvation. The Crix can't predict or control genuine human innovation. It's why they see us as a threat. Just then, the lights in the chamber flickered. A familiar shimmer filled the air as a Crix representative materialized in the center of the room. Unlike the first encounter, this one had taken a more humanoid form, though its skin still rippled with equations. Your resistance is both futile and dangerous, it announced, its voice resonating through the chamber. We have begun the correction process. Already, 17.3% of your population has been brought into harmony with universal constants. Sarah stepped forward. You mean you've started turning us into calculable variables? We are saving you, the Crix insisted. Already, traffic accidents have decreased by 43%. Violent crime has dropped by 27%. Your stock markets have stabilized. Order brings peace. It brings stagnation, Sarah countered. She turned to address the council. Show them the data from the creativity hotspots, Arya. The AI displayed new images, artists creating impossible works that defied physics, musicians composing songs that seemed to bend reality, children's drawings that contained mathematical principles that shouldn't exist. This is what they're afraid of, Sarah declared. Human creativity doesn't just break their rules, it rewrites them. Arya, show the quantum resonance patterns. The display shifted to show two waves of energy, one perfectly ordered, representing the Crix influence, and another beautifully chaotic, representing human creativity. Where they met, something new emerged. We're not just resisting their changes, Sarah explained. We're creating something entirely new. A fusion of chaos and order that even they don't understand. The Crix representative's form flickered with what might have been concern. This is precisely why you must be corrected. Your species insists on introducing variables into equations that must remain constant. Those variables are what make us human, Sarah shot back. And we're not alone anymore. On cue, Arya displayed communications from across the galaxy, signals from other species that had been corrected by the Crix. But something was happening. Human chaos was spreading, awakening long-suppressed creativity in these ancient civilizations. Your chaos is infecting other systems, the Crix accused. You must be stopped. No, Sarah said firmly. We must be understood. Arya, initiate Protocol Prometheus. The AI system pulsed with energy, and suddenly every screen in the chamber displayed the same image, a simple child's drawing of a flower. But within its seemingly crude lines lay mathematical principles that made the Crix representative physically recoil. This was drawn by a 6-year-old girl in Mumbai, Sarah explained. Look at the patterns within it. She intuitively created something your entire civilization couldn't predict or control. That's not a flaw in our species, it's our greatest gift. The Crix's form began to destabilize. You cannot comprehend the damage you are doing to universal order. Maybe not, Sarah agreed. But we comprehend something you don't, the value of uncertainty. Arya, show them what humanity is capable of. The AI system unleashed a cascade of human creativity, art, music, literature, scientific theories, philosophical concepts, all swirling together in a display of organized chaos that made several council members gasp in wonder. The Crix representative seemed to struggle maintaining its form. This is your final warning, it announced. Accept correction, or face extinction. Sarah stood her ground. We have a counteroffer. Learn from us. Evolve with us. Or watch as human chaos rewrites the very rules you've spent eons trying to enforce. The being vanished, but not before Sarah caught a glimpse of something she hadn't expected in its mathematical eyes, uncertainty. The very thing it had sought to eliminate was beginning to affect its own civilization. As the Security Council chamber erupted in discussion, Sarah's phone buzzed with messages from her team at MIT. More creativity hotspots were appearing. Humanity wasn't just resisting, it was thriving under pressure, innovation spreading like wildfire across the globe. Dr. Chen, Arya's voice came through her earpiece. I'm detecting quantum fluctuations, consistent with large-scale Crix activity. They appear to be preparing for something significant. Sarah nodded, already formulating plans. Then we better give them something really unpredictable. Connect me with the creativity hotspots. All of them. The war for humanity's soul was entering a new phase, and Sarah Chen was about to prove that sometimes the most powerful weapon isn't the ability to control chaos, it's the courage to embrace it. As she left the UN building, Sarah looked up at the sky, where strange geometric patterns were beginning to form in the clouds. The Crix were preparing their response, but for the first time, she felt truly confident. Because while they had spent eons perfecting order, humanity had mastered something far more powerful, the art of beautiful imperfection. The world had changed dramatically in the weeks following the UN confrontation. Cities now displayed impossible architecture, buildings shifting between ordered Crix geometry and the wild expressions of human creativity. In the skies, aurora-like patterns danced as reality itself became a battleground between chaos and order. Sarah Chen's lab at MIT had become the heart of human resistance, though she preferred to call it creative persistence. Researchers, artists, musicians, and even children filled the expanded facility, each contributing to what she now called the Human Factor Project. The readings are incredible, Dr. Marcus Wong, her chief quantum physicist, said as he studied the latest data. Every time the Crix implement a new order protocol, human creativity doesn't just resist, it evolves. Sarah watched a group of children playing with quantum-sensitive blocks, their imaginations literally reshaping reality on a microscopic scale. That's because they're approaching this all wrong. They see chaos as a flaw to be corrected. We see it as the source of everything new. Arya's holographic interface materialized beside them. Dr. Chen, we're receiving reports from the lunar colonies. The Crix have established what appears to be a reality stabilization array on the dark side of the moon. Show me, Sarah commanded. The air filled with images of crystalline structures that seemed to bend light itself. They're trying to create a dampening field for human creativity. Correct, Arya confirmed. However, there's something else you should see. The AI displayed new data, showing energy patterns spreading across the galaxy. Other species are beginning to exhibit increased chaos patterns. The human factor is spreading. Sarah smiled. This was exactly what she'd hoped for. The Crix hadn't just suppressed humanity's creative potential, they'd done it to countless civilizations across the cosmos. But now, like a splash of color in a monochrome world, human chaos was awakening something long dormant in these ancient species. A familiar shimmer announced the arrival of a Crix representative, but this one was different. Its form seemed less stable, patterns flowing more organically than the rigid geometry of its predecessors. Dr. Sarah Chen, it spoke, its voice carrying unusual harmonics. I am VARX, representing a dissenting faction within the Crix consensus. Sarah crossed her arms. Dissenting faction? I thought your species was all about perfect order. Recent events have caused unprecedented variance in our collective consciousness. VARX's form rippled. Some of us have begun to question. This was new. Question what, exactly? The fundamental assumptions of our purpose. For eons, we have maintained universal order, believing it to be the only path to cosmic stability. But your species. DARX gestured to the children playing nearby, you create stability through chaos. It should be impossible. Dr. Wong stepped forward, excited. It's not impossible, it's emergent complexity. Order doesn't have to be imposed from above. It can emerge naturally from chaos, creating something more robust than any planned system. Watch this, Sarah said. She turned to the children. Hey kids, want to help us show our guests something cool? The children gathered around, their quantum blocks floating in the air. remember that game we practiced? Sarah asked them. Show us how you build impossible things. What happened next made even VARX's mathematical form fluctuate in surprise. The children, working purely on intuition, began constructing structures that shouldn't exist, buildings that were both there and not there, shapes that lived in multiple dimensions simultaneously. But instead of causing reality to break down, their creations somehow made it more stable. This is what we've been trying to tell you, Sarah explained to VARX. Human creativity doesn't threaten universal stability, it enhances it. We create new possibilities, new solutions, new ways of existing that your perfect order never could have predicted. But the calculations, VARX began. Are incomplete, Sarah interrupted. You've been trying to calculate everything except the most important variable, the human factor. Arya, show the galactic creativity map. The air filled with a three-dimensional map of the Milky Way, showing spreading waves of creative energy. Every species you've corrected over the millennia still has this potential locked inside them. Humanity didn't just resist your corrections, we've become a key to unlocking everything you've suppressed. VARX studied the data, its form becoming increasingly fluid. There is significant discord within the consensus regarding these developments. Many fear that this spreading chaos will lead to cosmic collapse. Or cosmic renaissance, Sarah countered. She nodded to Dr. Wong, who activated their latest project. The lab filled with a new kind of energy, not the rigid patterns of Crick's order, nor the wild chaos of pure human creativity, but something in between. A harmony of both. We call it structured chaos theory, Sarah explained. It proves that order and chaos aren't opposites, they're complementary forces. The universe needs both to thrive. VARX moved closer to examine the energy patterns. This should not be possible. That's humanity's specialty, Sarah smiled. Doing the impossible. But we're not trying to destroy order, we're showing you a better way to maintain it. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the facility. Arya's form flickered urgently. Dr. Chen, the lunar array has activated. Multiple Crick's consciousness cores are materializing in Earth's atmosphere. VARX's form destabilized momentarily. The consensus has reached a decision. They intend to implement complete reality restructuring. Your entire solar system will be reformatted. Sarah's expression hardened. How long do we have? Hours, at most. Dr. Chen. Sarah, what my faction has learned from humanity cannot be calculated in simple variables. If the consensus succeeds, they will destroy something precious, something they don't even understand. Then help us, Sarah said. You've seen what we can do. Help us show the rest of your kind that there's another way. VARX seemed to struggle internally, its form shifting between rigid geometry and flowing patterns. Finally, it stabilized. The risk of helping you is incalculable. Sarah grinned. Good. That means we're on the right track. As reality itself began to waver under the influence of the Crick's reality restructuring array, Sarah Chen prepared for the biggest gamble in human history. They had hours to prove that chaos wasn't just a force of destruction, it was the source of everything new and wonderful in the universe. The children continued playing with their quantum blocks, unknowingly reshaping reality in ways the Cricks had never imagined possible. And in their innocent creativity, Sarah saw the future, not a perfect, ordered universe, but one alive with possibilities, where order and chaos danced together in endless, beautiful variation. Arya, she commanded, initiate Protocol Phoenix. It's time to show the universe what humanity can really do. The final battle for the soul of reality itself was about to begin, and humanity's greatest weapon would be the very chaos that the Cricks had spent eons trying to eliminate. The question wasn't whether order or chaos would win, it was whether the universe was ready for what would emerge when both finally learned to coexist. Protocol Phoenix wasn't just a program, it was a symphony of human creativity unleashed across the solar system. As the Cricks reality restructuring array powered up on the moon, Sarah Chen's plan entered its most dangerous phase. Every creativity hotspot is online, Arya reported, its holographic form pulsing with unprecedented energy. Quantum resonance at 300% of predicted levels and rising. The MIT lab had become a nexus of organized chaos. Artists painted with quantum pigments, their work literally rewriting local physics. Musicians played instruments that generated reality-stabilizing harmonics. Children's imagination directly affected spacetime, their dreams becoming tangible forces in the universe. DARX, their Crix ally, observed with growing amazement. The consensus cannot comprehend what they're seeing. Human minds are creating quantum effects that violate our most fundamental laws. Sarah watched as her global network of humanity's creative power grew stronger. That's because your laws are incomplete. Arya, show us the lunar arrays effect. The holographic display revealed waves of pure order spreading from the moon, attempting to reorganize reality according to Crick's mathematics. But wherever these waves met human creativity, something unprecedented occurred. Look at that, Dr. Wong pointed excitedly. The interaction isn't destroying either pattern, it's creating something new. Sarah nodded. Exactly. We're not fighting order with chaos. We're showing how they can evolve together. She turned to VARX. How many of your kind can see this? More than the consensus would like to admit, VARX replied, its form flowing with increasingly organic patterns. Our youngest consciousness clusters are particularly intrigued by human potential. Suddenly, the lab's sensors screamed with alerts. The main Crix consciousness core had materialized in Earth's orbit, its presence so powerful it was visible from the ground, a perfect geometric structure larger than Manhattan. They're starting the final restructuring sequence, VARX warned, its voice carrying harmonics of concern. Sarah smiled. Good. Arya, connect me to all creativity hotspots. It's time for humanity's greatest performance. Across the globe, humans of all ages and backgrounds were ready. Artists, scientists, dreamers, and creators waited for her signal. Even those who had been corrected by the Crix felt something stirring in their minds, an awakening of long-suppressed creative potential. Remember, Sarah broadcast to her global network, don't fight the order they're imposing. Work with it. Show them what happens when chaos and order collaborate. The Crix consciousness core began its transmission. Reality rippled as waves of pure mathematical order swept across the planet. Trees attempted to grow in perfect fractals. Cities tried to reshape themselves into geometric patterns. Human minds felt the pull toward absolute logic and predictability. But this time, humanity was ready. In New York, a street artist's mural came alive, its colors flowing out to meet the Crix patterns and dancing with them. In Tokyo, a child's paper crane folded space itself, creating origami out of reality. In Lagos, drummers played rhythms that made mathematics sing. Impossible, a new Crix voice boomed across the planet. Your chaos should be overwhelmed by our order. Sarah grabbed a quantum paintbrush, joining the global creative resistance. That's humanity's secret, she called out. We don't just create chaos, we find patterns in it. We make art from randomness. We see beauty in imperfection. The consciousness core pulsed with increased power, forcing more order into Earth's reality. But with each wave of mathematical perfection, humanity responded with greater creativity. Street art became living geometry. Music transformed into quantum equations. Children's games rewrote the laws of physics. DRX's form brightened with understanding. The consensus doesn't realize, they're not weakening humanity's creativity, they're forcing it to evolve. Sarah watched as her readings confirmed VARX's observation. Every attempt by the Crix to impose perfect order was met by an explosion of human innovation. Artists weren't just painting pictures, they were painting new ways for reality to exist. Musicians weren't just playing songs, they were composing alternative physics. Dr. Chen, Arya interrupted, detecting massive quantum fluctuations. The creativity wave has reached the corrected civilizations in nearby star systems. The holographic display showed it all: species that had lived under Cthulhu's order for millennia were awakening. Humanity's creative renaissance was spreading across the galaxy, igniting long-dormant sparks of chaos and innovation. The Cthulhu's consciousness core shuddered visibly. This must be stopped. Reality itself is at risk. No, Sarah declared, reality is finally healing. Arya, show them what true harmony looks like. Every human creation, every burst of artistic expression, every child's imagination united in a single moment of pure potential. Order and chaos merged, not in conflict, but in collaboration. The result was beyond beautiful, it was transcendent. The consciousness core's perfect geometry began to shift, influenced by the wave of human creativity. What is happening to us? DARX floated higher, its form now a stunning blend of mathematical precision and organic flow. We are evolving. The human factor isn't just affecting them, it's changing us. Throughout the solar system, reality flickered between states of perfect order and pure creativity, before settling into something entirely new. The Cthulhu's patterns of absolute mathematics became canvases for human expression. Human chaos organized itself into impossible new forms of order. Dr. Chen, Arya reported, the lunar array is changing. It's not imposing order anymore, it's learning. Sarah watched as the array transformed, its crystalline structures flowering into forms that were both mathematically perfect and wildly creative. That's humanity's gift to the universe. We don't just break the rules, we show them how to dance. The Cthulhu's consciousness core hung in orbit, its form gradually shifting from rigid geometry to fluid, artistic patterns. We have existed for millions of years, it announced, maintaining what we thought was perfect order. How can your young species possess such power? Because we never stopped dreaming, Sarah replied. We never stopped asking, what if? We never stopped believing that reality could be more than what we see. As the sun rose over this new world, humanity had proven something extraordinary, that the greatest power in the universe wasn't order or chaos, but the wisdom to know that both were necessary. The Cthulhu's hadn't been defeated, they had been transformed, awakened to possibilities they had forgotten existed. Sarah looked at her readings one last time. The creativity wave was still spreading across the galaxy, awakening species, transforming civilizations, and teaching an ancient truth: the universe wasn't meant to be perfectly ordered or completely chaotic. It was meant to be alive. Arya, she said softly, record this moment. This is when everything changed. The AI's response carried a hint of what might have been pride, already done, Dr. Chen. Though I don't think anyone will ever forget it. As humanity stepped into this new age of creation and collaboration, Sarah Chen realized that this wasn't just a victory for Earth. It was the beginning of a cosmic renaissance, where order and chaos would finally learn to dance together in endless, beautiful variation. The universe would never be the same. And that was exactly the point. 1 year after the Great Transformation, Earth had become something unprecedented in the universe, a living artwork of order and chaos in perfect harmony. The Cthulhu's consciousness core remained in orbit, no longer a source of rigid control, but a collaborative partner in what historians now called the Great Symphony. Sarah Chen stood in her transformed MIT lab, watching as a group of Cthulhu's younglings learned art from human children. Their geometric forms flowed with colors and patterns that would have been impossible in their old existence. Still hard to believe sometimes, isn't it? DARX materialized beside her, its form now a stunning blend of mathematical precision and creative flow. A year ago, we thought we were saving the universe from chaos. Instead, humanity saved us from perfection. Sarah smiled, watching a young Cthulhu's attempt to draw a cat, the resulting image somehow existing in multiple dimensions simultaneously. How's the galactic renaissance progressing? Beyond all calculated possibilities, DARX replied with what had become its version of excitement. Over 3,000 previously corrected civilizations have reawakened their creative potential. The quantum arts are evolving in ways we never imagined possible. Arya's holographic form joined them, now incorporating both human intuition and Cthulhu's precision. Dr. Chen, you might want to see this. We're detecting something remarkable in the Andromeda Galaxy. The air filled with images of impossible beauty, entire solar systems transformed into living art, species that had been bound by order for millions of years now expressing themselves in ways that transformed reality itself. But there was something else, something new. Is that what I think it is? Sarah leaned forward, studying the data. DARX's form pulsed with wonder. Spontaneous creation. New forms of life emerging from the harmony of chaos and order. The universe itself is learning to create. This was beyond anything they had dreamed possible. The merger of human creativity and Crick's mathematics hadn't just changed existing life, it had sparked something entirely new. Evolution itself had gained artistic inspiration. Dr. Chen, one of her human students, called out excitedly. Watch what happens when we combine quantum harmonics with children's laughter. Sarah turned to see a group of human and Crick's children playing what looked like hopscotch, except each jump created ripples of creative energy that transformed the surrounding reality. Plants grew in fractals that were somehow both perfectly ordered and wildly organic. The air itself seemed to sing with mathematical joy. We were wrong about so many things, BRX observed. We thought order was the highest form of existence. We never understood that true stability comes from the dance between order and chaos. Sarah nodded, remembering the desperate days of resistance that now felt like a lifetime ago. And we humans never fully appreciated the beauty of mathematics until we saw it through your eyes. Together, we're more than either of us could have been alone. Suddenly, Arya's form brightened with urgency. Dr. Chen, the consciousness core, is detecting something unprecedented. A signal, from outside. The lab's displays filled with patterns that made even the Crick's younglings stop their play in amazement. Something vast and ancient was responding to the creative renaissance spreading across the galaxies. It's coming from the space between spaces, VARX whispered. The void between galaxies that we could never quantify. Sarah felt a shiver of excitement. Arya, can you decode it? Working on it, the AI replied. It appears to be laughing? The signal resolved itself into a presence that defied both human imagination and Crick's mathematics. It was as if the universe itself had developed consciousness and decided to join the conversation. We see you, a voice that was not a voice resonated through reality itself. After eons of waiting, we finally see you. Who are you? Sarah asked, though somehow she already knew. We are what comes after, the presence replied. We are what happens when order and chaos learn to dance together. We are what you are becoming. DARX's form shimmered with understanding. The universe, it's alive. It's always been alive. We just couldn't see it because we were too focused on imposing order. The presence seemed to smile, though how anyone knew this was impossible to explain. Your children are showing the way. Look at them. Everyone turned to watch the human and Crick's children, still playing their dimension-hopping hopscotch. They weren't just playing, they were showing how reality could be both structured and free, both mathematical and magical. This is what we've been waiting for, the presence continued. Not perfect order. Not pure chaos. But the wisdom to embrace both, to create something greater than the sum of its parts. Sarah felt tears in her eyes as she understood. All this time, the universe wasn't just a place for life to exist. It was trying to come alive itself. And now, thanks to the merger of human creativity and Crick's mathematics, it finally can, DARX added, its form radiating joy in precise, beautiful patterns. The presence began to fade, but its message remained, you have taken the first step on a journey that has no end. Keep creating. Keep dreaming. Keep finding new ways to dance with reality itself. As the signal faded, Sarah looked around her lab, at the human scientists and artists working alongside Crick's mathematicians, at children playing games that rewrote physics, at the endless possibilities they were just beginning to explore. So, she said to VARX, what do you think the universe will create next? The former Crix enforcer of order, now an artist of reality itself, replied with what had become its favorite human expression, "Who knows? And isn't that wonderful?" Outside, Earth continued its own transformation. Cities had become living art installations, where architecture obeyed both physics and imagination. Nature had evolved into forms that were simultaneously wild and precise. And in schools across the planet, children learned that the most important lesson wasn't how to follow rules or break them, it was how to transform them into something new and beautiful. The great experiment had succeeded beyond anyone's wildest dreams. Humanity hadn't just survived the attempt to impose perfect order, they had shown the universe itself how to evolve. The age of rigid separation between chaos and order was over. The age of infinite creation had begun. And somewhere in the vast cosmos, in the space between galaxies, the universe smiled, watching its children play with reality itself, knowing that this was only the beginning of what was possible when order and chaos learned to dance together. Sarah Chen looked up at the consciousness core, now a shimmering work of art in Earth's orbit, and made a note in her journal, Day 365 of the Great Symphony. Today we learned that the universe has a sense of humor. Tomorrow, we'll teach it how to sing. The human variable hadn't just changed the equation, it had transformed the very nature of reality itself. And that was exactly as it should be.